All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Limitless Mindset Podcast. Today, we are going to be releasing episode number 12. Sunday morning, here hanging out at the office, just getting some work done. Like I said, I like to come in on the weekends when I need a little bit of quiet time and really drill down and get things done that I need to get completed. Things have been just absolutely crazy lately. Not only with my own personal business, handling my clients and things like that, but also going into the growth of the brokerage as a whole. It's been pretty awesome. It's been an amazing ride. For those of you guys who've been following me for a little while, we decided to launch our own real estate brokerage last year and had a lot of people, ask me, why would you do that? Why would you want to take on more work like that? It's so much liability and work and all the other excuses that people try to give me on why I shouldn't do it. And, I'm pretty hard-headed and decided to go forward with it. And I can tell you guys, it's probably been one of the most fun / fulfilling / challenging experiences that I've had to date. But I wouldn't change a thing about it. It's been a blast though. We've been growing like crazy. We've been having some amazing talent come in and join us. It's been really, really cool to see some of these people develop, getting a lot of agents that, just kind of felt stuck in their careers, weren't getting the support, weren't getting the help that they needed. And as they've come over and we've poured into these people, they've just been really taken off, which has been absolutely amazing to see. So like I said, just kind of in here in Sunday morning in the office and just getting some stuff done in the quiet time away from everybody. And this is probably one of my favorite times to just be by myself and get things done and recenter and focus on what I need to get done for the week. So I wanted to come in here today though, and again, for those of you guys that have been listening to the podcast, I just wanted to take a quick second and say thank you. It's been awesome seeing some of the feedback that we've been getting. My goal when I launched this for you guys was just to give you guys a little insight on what it looks like behind the scenes of being, self-employed or, being somebody, an employee or a contributor or a member of an organization that's looking to grow. And I wanted to share, the good, the bad, the ugly, the behind the scenes, the grind, the winning, just all of it in its purest, most raw form with you guys. And that was the whole point of starting this podcast, was just to help people. Like I told you guys before in my story, I believe that one of the biggest challenges I had growing up was just getting around the right people, right? It wasn't that I didn't have the drive or the ambition. It was just getting myself around the people that had the knowledge that I needed to get where I wanted to go, right? I didn't know what I didn't know, and I knew that. I knew that there was more to the world, there was more to growth, there was more to fulfillment. I just needed to figure out how to get there, and the key to that was being around the people that already knew how to get there. So that's why we started this. And so as I've been figuring things out, I wanted to take other people along on my journey and kind of share what I have learned so far, what's worked well for me, bring in other people to kind of share some of their journey as well. And, hopefully it adds some value to you guys. So again, thank you for those of you guys that have been sharing some positive feedback, sharing our stories, sharing the podcast. All the messages I get individually, just kind of, I read them. Obviously, I try to respond to every one of them from you guys that, share with me what you took away from each podcast. And man, it means a ton to me. So again, just wanted to start this podcast off before we go into it and just give you guys a big thank you. Just say thank you guys. Seriously, it means a ton to me. That ties me into what I wanted to come in here and talk to you guys about today. And today I wanted to share with you guys something that has been an absolute key to getting to where I want to go. Obviously, I share a lot of tips, tricks, and tools. But this is something that, I don't know, it's just something that seems to get overlooked a lot by people. The beautiful thing about this day and age is that we have access to so much knowledge and information, right? I think back when I was a kid, before we had social media, before we had all these things, and how would we interact with each other? How would we play? How would we get information, right? And it usually was whatever came in the news, whatever was read in the newspaper, whatever our parents told us, But when I was a kid growing up, there was really kind of no distractions, right? You just knew what you knew, and you'd go to the library and read a book and figure out what you need to. But the transfer of knowledge was a very slow process, right? If something new rolled out, if some new invention was created, it's not like word of that would spread very fast. It's not like today where you had social media. You can get your phone out and you could type a message and have it be seen by thousands of people. And I always reflect on this and think that social media, in a way, YouTube, social media, Facebook, Instagram, all these tools that we have are absolutely amazing. But in some ways, I also wonder how it's hindering us as a whole when it comes to society and our learning, right? There's two sides to this coin that I have a love-hate relationship with when it comes to how fast technology has allowed us to communicate with each other. Because again, it's great to get in front of people quickly, easily. It's free. It doesn't cost you any money. There's never been more opportunity in the world than you have right now today to be successful, to have your messages heard, to connect with other people, to build relationships with people, to share your knowledge with the world. Hands down, has never been another point in time or history when it's been more easily and readily available than we have right now today. The downside to that is that it's almost overwhelming to some people, right? We have depression that's at an all-time high these days because so many people look at people's highlight reels on social media. They look at all these new things that people are doing, people just sharing all the positives that go on in life, right? And they don't share a lot of the negatives. And I think a lot of people look at these things and they often question themselves, are they doing what they need to do? It's easy to look at somebody else and say, man, they're absolutely killing it. They're winning. Look at this new thing. There's so many different shiny spoons and shiny objects, and everybody's constantly questioning, are they doing the right thing in life? Man, this person looks so happy over here. This person just bought this. This person is doing all these big, amazing things at work, right? There's just so many different things out there that I think people often find themselves comparing each other more than they should be looking to learn from each other. And that's the downside to social media, right? That's the downside to information being so readily available to everybody, is that it's just out there, right? There's no filter on it. Well, I take that back. There is a filter. People only show what they want to show, but there's no filter on actually verifying, is this fact? Is this fiction? Is this real? So one thing, maybe it's just me, it's just an old school mindset, right? I just put my focus on one thing, and that's kind of the topic of today's podcast is, the tool that I have used in my life and in my career has just been focus. And I think that too many people lose sight of the importance of focus. And I kind of blame a lot of what we have going on in society today and the advancements in technology and all the shiny bells and whistles that are available today, that it's really hard for people to sit down and just stay focused on what it is that they want to do. I'm going to use my personal journey for an example. I remember, being an entrepreneur at heart, I have this desire and drive to explore and challenge and question and look at new things, and I'm constantly have my eyes peeled for opportunities out there. You know what I mean? I'm always looking, and where's an opportunity? What's something cool? What's something creative? What's something I could add value into? And like I said today, there's so much information out there, especially with social media. It's easy to share, right? So I see all these people doing all these different things, and of course, my personality type, I get that curiosity in me that wants to know about it, right? We got real estate these days. We got all different kinds of online marketing. We got e-commerce sales. We got wholesaling. We got, all these different work from your computer while you're sitting in an island pitches, right? All these MLMs going on. There's just so many different opportunities being pitched to us today. It's hard to stay focused. I'm going to be honest with you. And, I'll share, I have a couple people, but I got one gentleman in my brokerage, absolutely phenomenal, hardworking young guy, reminds me a lot of myself in many ways because of his curiosity, right? He's got the hard work, he's got the drive, he's got the dedication. And I often find myself having these conversations because he's extremely curious, right? Which I can personally appreciate because that's how my personality is as well. That's how I've always been. I've always questioned things. I've always questioned, why do they work the way they work? Why do people think the way they think? I always look at every topic, and I love to just get deep in thought about it and figure out, what's the opportunity, what's the pros, what's the cons. And I learned over time that this is actually a big weakness of mine, right? So With this particular gentleman, he comes in, he's a heavy hitter, and he is just, kid is just a beast when it comes to working, extremely good attitude. However, his energy and focus is like all over the place. It's one day, I'm questioning this, next day questioning this, next day questioning this, next day questioning this. And, and although he's great at one thing and he's building a career up, right, it's just always like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And it's just all over. And I had sat down with him last week and had this conversation. And I said, if you kind of think about your energy in terms of like a fire hose, right? When you guys got a fire hose, you guys have probably seen it. It's got the nozzle on the end there. And then what the firefighters do is, you can dissipate how wide or how focused in the energy of water is. And if you look at the force of the water, the PSI is exactly the same, right? The output is the same, but when that nozzle is almost closed, it dissipates the water out across a very wide area, right? Really broad, kind of fanned. In a way, it's very low pressured. The same amount of water is coming out. It's just spread out amongst a massive area, so it's very low pressure. It's kind of everything gets sprinkled a little bit. The area, yes, it's covering a little wider of an area, but it's just getting sprinkled out, right? And then as you take this nozzle and you kind of loosen it up a little bit, and you see the water beam start to come in and come in and come in, and before you know it, it's a very straight, focused, full pressure, 120 PSI is now focused on a little 3-inch section basically, and it does, devastation basically, right? You point that thing down at the ground or on a sidewalk and it's just going to completely push away all the dirt. It's going to be completely focused and might put out a fire in that one dissipated area. And that's the power of taking a whole mass of energy, aka water in this situation, and condensing it down and focusing on one small area. Now all that water going to that one area is absolutely effective in what it is you're trying to accomplish, right? Except when you spread it out and it's fanned out across the whole area, the water just kind of fizzles and dripples on there. I relate that the same to energy, and that's how I put it to him. I said, you got so much energy, you got so much drive, but you're spreading it out across so many things that all these things are getting very small amounts of your attention to where it's not really effective. It just isn't, right? You got interest, you got knowledge in all these things, but you only have so many hours in a day. We'll just use hours in a day as your energy, right? You're sparing all your time in this day that you have available, and you're focusing it on all these different things. You're trying to juggle all these different things, right? Where if you took all that time and energy and you focused it into one or two things, how much more powerful would those one or two things be now with all your time and energy devoted to those things and growing them, than all your time being spread out and not dedicating the time to the one thing that you're truly trying to accomplish, right? And as I'm thinking about this, I'm like, man, you know what? That sounds a lot like me, because I used to do the same thing. This was an area for me. It still is, and I fight it constantly. I'll use a great example for you guys, right? Crypto is like the new thing right now. Everybody's on crypto and all these different things out there. And I pay attention. I can see, right? There's money to be made there. There's things that are there. People making some noise. I see a whole lot of volatility in that market, right? I sit back and I pay attention, and I see people one week, oh my God, I made all this money, all these wins, all this crypto, you got to get invested, yada, yada, yada. Week or two later, man, it's the opposite, right? These people are on the down. Oh man, I just lost a bunch of money. The market's crashing. Got to pull out of the crypto. And it's something that has caught my eye. It's something that seems to be so popular today. A lot of my friends are doing it and everything, and they're always talking to me about it. And, am I going to deny that there's any interest there? Absolutely not. There's definitely interest there. There's, probably something to be said about that. But the problem is that I know my personality well enough that I have a goal right now that I'm trying to accomplish within my own business, right? I'm on a path of growth. I have a brokerage we just started, a few other side projects outside of the brokerage, but they all tied together that I'm working on right now. And I only have so many hours in a day. I'm already busy enough as it is right now. I have people here that rely on me. I have, other agents that are looking to grow their business that do need my time and dedication and focus to help them get to where they want to go. And I know myself well enough that I'm focusing on these other things. And if I go down these path of, oh man, I want to get into this and this and this and this, how effective would I really be at what it is that I'm trying to accomplish right now, right? And this seems to be something that so many people lose sight of. And I see it all the time. I talk to so many people and I'm paying attention. And, do you guys ever have those friends or you got that family member that every time you have a conversation with them or every other week, they're doing something different, right? I started this, I did this, I'm doing this. And before you know it, they almost lose credibility in your eyes, because I call them serial wantrepreneurs, right? I got these people that I follow, that I watch again, and my friends, and I'm just like, here we go again, here we go again, another business, here's another thing they're going into, to the point where you almost can't take them serious, or they lose credibility, because most likely they're probably not going to follow through, right? It's going to be some new flavor of the week idea for these guys. And, you're like, you want to support them. You're like, man, you're my friend. And gosh, yeah, I hope you're successful in this. But in your head, that they're never going to give it enough time. They're never going to stick it through. They're not going to follow through on their commitment to this new journey or this new business venture or new challenge, whatever it is, right? You just start to see that they're not going to follow through with that. We all have them, right? We all have these friends and stuff. And then, you sit back, and if you really think about it, they probably could be wildly successful if they just stayed in their lane and stayed focused on what it is that they would start and see through it to the end. And you know what? Maybe it wouldn't work out for them, right? Maybe in the end, it isn't the best business venture to go into. But they'll never know, because they never gave it their full dedication to see through or test it enough or stick through, the suck. That's what I was called, the suck, long enough, the downsides of it, right? The money invested, the time it takes to really gain some traction in their business. Real estate is absolutely notorious for this, right? How many people do you guys see? You probably see on your friends list, real estate's one of those businesses that everybody wants to get in. Everybody loves real estate, right? I'm in it. I want to get in it. I want to be a realtor. It looks easy, yada, yada, yada. How many of you guys have seen that family member, that friend, that person you follow that says, yep, I'm into real estate now. And, for about 30 days, they're hot and heavy on their marketing. They're doing their thing. And then before you know it, 2-3 months later, they're still working at their other job. They haven't made any advances, any changes. Their marketing probably stops. They pop their head up once every couple months. Hey, just as a reminder, guys, I'm in real estate here and there, and you almost just forget about them and stuff, and it's very prevalent that they're not really going to be successful at it because they give up so easy at it, right? And this is the reason that a ton of people, by the way, fail in this business. They just don't give it enough time. They don't focus on the energy. They don't, stay focused on what their end goal is, and that is to be successful at any cost, no matter how long it takes, and stay consistent with what it is that they want. And so, this to me is the one thing, especially at this day and age where so many people are failing, is because they lack the inability to stay focused, right? They have a hard time setting a goal. They have a hard time saying, this is what I want. I'm going to go after this. This is this right here. If I could sit back right now and think about where I want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, right? You just sit back and envision, and you paint this picture in your mind of, to me, this is what a successful life looks like. This is where I'm going. And actually build out a plan to get there and stick with that plan. No matter what, they would be wildly successful. But this is where so many people give up, right? There's just so many different opportunities that come up that basically derail them, that they lose focus on what it is that they're doing, and they never actually see it through to fruition. So for me, one thing that I learned about myself very quickly was that I am easily distracted, right? This was a weakness of mine that I had to work on, right? It was way, way, way too easy for me to get distracted by other opportunities out there, right? We all have those, especially, in the circle that I'm with now, and the line of friends that I'm with. And, as you guys have heard me talk about before, how important it is to be surrounded by people that just know what the hell they're doing, that are all around hustlers, good people, because I truly believe that you are the product of your environment. So, like I said, you guys have heard me talk about before, I force myself to be surrounded by these groups of people that are helping me level up. I love being around these people. The downside to that is of course, these kind of people are all involved in different industries that cause them to do very well, right? And when you sit back and you look at my group of friends, you're like, man, that guy's a baller. That guy's a heavy hitter. He's awesome. He owns a super successful business. This guy's really successful over here. This guy's successful over here. And so, on a surface level, it's extremely distracting when you look at all these people that I'm friends with, or even you guys might think of your successful friends, and you're like, oh, this guy's wildly successful here, and this girl over here is absolutely killing it in this area here. And then you can't help but want to, basically maybe make a transition into some of those paths that they're going down, right? But the problem is it's the same thing. You start to lose focus on what it is you are trying to accomplish because you're chasing everybody else's goals and you're chasing everybody else's dreams. What you need to really do is figure out, how can I take the core principles and core foundations from these people and apply them to me so that I can get better in what it is that my personal goal is. Which, by the way, I guarantee you right now, if you're thinking on the top of your head, those people that are wildly successful, maybe you've got that person in mind that you're either friends with or you're a coworker, whatever it is, one of your mentors, they are probably extremely focused and really good at holding focus and holding the consistency in what it is that they do. One thing that I have found to be a good balance for me, right? Because like I told you guys, I have that entrepreneurial mindset. I'm always looking for new business ventures. However, I make promises to myself that I have to follow through with something before I move on to something else. So for example, when I was a solo agent, and it came time to maybe start a team, you guys have heard about it. I didn't want to start a team initially. I just didn't want the liability. I didn't want the commitment. I didn't want the responsibility of other people's success in my hands at that time, and then I'd kind of thought about it and I was like, but I do enjoy developing people. And so at that point, I was about 3 years in my career and everybody was asking me, are you going to get your broker's license? What's next? And I said, no, I'm not there. My goal right now is just to develop a winning team. I want to do this at a much smaller level. I want to see if I can build out something and coach people and prove myself successful in this model before I take on something else, right? And I see all these other people getting broker's licenses and doing this and, going to join these other brokerages that have these MLM downline type progress, situations to grow their businesses. And it just wasn't on my path, right? I learned to stay focused. And so I kept my head down for 2-3 years and, focused on building my team, focused on, learning everything I could possibly learn about that, stay in the course. Everybody was telling me, oh, you need to have a team of 50, 60 people. You're going to have all this turnover, so you need to offset that by just having a massive amount of people. I didn't want that. I didn't see the value in that. I didn't want a bunch of turnover. I wanted to work with people I thoroughly enjoyed. I wanted to prove that you could be wildly successful with 10 people just as much as you could with 50 people that were always constantly coming in and out of your organization. Really keep 10 to 12 people on that and be as successful and produce the same results by pouring my time into these people and have them produce higher than 50 people divided, right? I proved that to be successful until I got really good at that. And then I said, okay, what's going to be the next challenge for myself, right? Okay, I want to start a brokerage. That's going to be my next goal. Stayed focused on it, right? Everybody, I got all the outside noise. Why do you do that? You could just go hang your license under this brokerage, run it. It's just, I didn't hear any of it. It didn't matter. It was a goal of mine. I set that as a goal of mine and I stayed the course, right? And I made it happen. Matter of fact, it was almost a year ago, 2 years ago today, I was on a podcast of a friend of mine's and I said, this is what I'm doing. I'm working and mark my words, by this time next year I'll have it. 3 months later, we launched it and here we are. We're, as of today, I believe at about 36 agents and growing. And it's been a pretty fun ride, So for me, it's just one of the key things that has helped me combat my shiny object syndrome, I'll call it that, right? I love to seek these opportunities. I love to look for all these new things. I like to try so many new things, right? But I don't put that stamp, or I didn't put that stamp on it and say, no matter what, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to go do anything different until I conquer this, until I figure it out, until I've won at this, and then I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next thing, right? So you kind of think of it in terms of, being a sharpshooter, right? Where you got these targets out in front of you. You got the targets we're going to call your goals, right? You have these things that you guys want to accomplish, right? Whether that's I want to have my dream house, I want to start a business, I want to own X amount of rental properties, maybe I want to make this much money and work this many hours a week, I want to travel this much. Whatever these all are, you guys can kind of sit back and picture these goals as targets, right? Sitting in front of you. And you've got your gun out, right? And you're going through and you're trying to knock down each target, right? And instead of just holding the trigger and just, basically shooting all over the place, you're doing the same effort, right? You're pulling the trigger, but you're not actually focused on each individual target one at a time. And then you kind of sit back and you're like, okay, I'm going to focus on knocking this one target down and then the next, and then the next, and then the next, instead of trying to tackle all these targets at one time. You guys are going to be way more effective in your career by setting these goals for yourself and not moving on to another goal. And it's okay to have a couple goals going on at a time. I'm not telling you to not have a couple goals, right? But what I'm telling you is to learn the power in really conquering one goal at a time, putting all your time, energy, and focus, because you're going to get to each one of those goals much faster than spreading your time out around 15 or 20 different things you have going on, right? Focus on something you're great at. Focus on something that you're making a ton of progress in. Focus on that number one goal that is most important to you. Build out the plan and don't let off the gas until you have accomplished that goal. Once you've got that goal accomplished, once you're in the right direction on that one, once you've absolutely crushed all of the steps needed to get there, then go ahead and move on to the next goal and the next goal, because you're going to find that way more fulfilling. You're going to feel like you're gaining more momentum by being able to hit these goals individually, one by one, than having 10 goals out there and being frustrated that your energy is just all over the place. You're not really seeing a massive progression in any of them because you're just spread so thin between all of it. You know, you got a little bit of time on your side. Time and patience are going to be so critical in something like this, because you need to put the focus on having the ability to follow through with the things that you set through for yourself. So, you know, guys, that's going to be something that I hope resonates with you guys today. It's something that it's just, I see it so much right now. I just can't help but sit back and laugh when I see people these days. You know, one day they're focused on this, and then the next week it's this, and then, oh man, did you hear about this new cool opportunity? And nobody ever just sits down and stays the course anymore, it seems like these days. And that's why nobody ever gets anything done. You know I pay attention to the people that are out there killing it. I pay attention to the people that are out there winning. I pay attention to the people out there that have the longevity. And the one thing they all have in common is their ability to stay focused, right? They know what they want. They're going after it. They set a goal in their mind. And no matter what, they're not going to let anybody take them away from that goal. They're not going to let their family, their friends, they're not going to let new opportunities, they're not going to let shiny objects get in their way and tell them that they can't accomplish these goals. They're not going to let their friends tell them to let off the gas, focus on this over here. You know, you don't need that. You have to get laser focused on what it is that you are trying to accomplish. And you need to get laser focused on what the steps are to get to those goals. And you cannot let off the gas until you accomplish each one of those, right? You want to get into real estate? Step number one, figure out why. What is your why? What's your purpose? Why do you want to get into that, right? You want to get into crypto? Why? What's the purpose? What's the reason? What's the end game, right? You want to get a promotion at work, right? You want to make it, let's say right now you're on the front line, you're a sales advisor, customer service advisor, whatever it is in your current role in your organization, and you want to work your way up to upper management. The first things first, why? What is that going to do for you? Step number two, how are you going to get there? What small steps do you need to take to get there? Step number three, follow through on those steps and do not deviate away from the plan until you've accomplished that goal. You guys are going to arrive at these destinations so much faster by putting all your time, energy, and focus into that one or two things needed to get to where you want to go, than giving it a little bit of your attention, and this over here a little bit of attention, and this over here a little bit of attention, and this over here, right? You only got so many hours in a day, and you're spreading your time across way too many things. Focus on the necessary to get you where you want to go, and do not let off the gas until you accomplish that goal and move on to something else. So hopefully this was valuable to you guys. Again, I really appreciate you guys taking some time to listen to this. If you guys got some value from this, I only ask you guys to do one thing. Go ahead and share it. Share it with somebody you think that this could be beneficial. If you got somebody today that you know that is just all over the place and you see a ton of potential in, share this with them if you think it'll bring them some value. And as always, guys, hopefully you guys are out there killing it, crushing it, and just get out there and kick some ass, guys.